Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Chinese ebook before it's gone.
Welcome to ChineseClass101.com's 3分钟汉语 the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Chinese. Hey, 大家好，我叫马燕如，很高兴与大家见面。Hi everybody, I'm Yanru Ma. Nice to meet you. In this series, we're going to learn basic Chinese expressions. It's super easy and only takes 3 minutes. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to introduce yourself in Chinese. Ready?Let's get started. 你好，我叫马燕如。Hi, I'm Yanru Ma. 你好，我叫马燕如。Start by saying 你好, which means hello. 你好。Then say 我叫, which means I'm called. 我叫。After this, say your name. 你好，我叫马燕如。Yes, it's just that easy. When you introduce yourself, you might want to tell people a little more than your name. Again, it's easy. You're learning Chinese, so let's say you want to tell people you're a Chinese student. In Chinese, this is 中文学生. The first word, 中文, is the word for the Chinese language. 中文. Next, we have 学生. This means student. 学生. Altogether, it's 中文学生. 中文学生. Now, if you want to say I'm a student, just start with the word for I we learned before. 我. Then add 是. This means is. 是. After this, add the word for student. Do you remember it? 中文学生. 中文学生. Put them together and you have 我是中文学生. 我是中文学生. Remember, start by saying hello, then say your name. 你好，我叫马燕如。Follow with a little bit about you. 我是中文学生。And now you have a nice self-introduction. 你好，我叫马燕如。我是中文学生。Now it's time for Yanru's tips. When men introduce themselves, it's very common for them to shake hands. In business situations, women will do this too. In social or casual situations, however, it is common for women to simply nod or smile in order to show friendliness. Do you know how we say thank you in Chinese? Come to our next lesson and you'll see how easy it is. 再见. See you then. Hey, 大家好，我是马燕如。Hi everybody, I am Yanru Ma. Welcome to ChineseClass101.com's 3分钟汉语 the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Chinese. In the last lesson, we learned how to introduce ourselves in Chinese. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to use good manners as we thank people. 准备好了吗? Are you ready? 我们开始吧. So let's start. There are several ways to thank someone. Let's start with the easiest. It is just one word. 谢谢. 谢谢. 谢谢 means thanks. Another slightly more emphatic way of saying thank you is 谢谢你. Do you see what we changed? We just added 你 to the end. 你 As you may recall, this is a word for you. It's like saying thank you. 谢谢你，谢谢你。When you really want to express thanks to someone, there is a different way to do it. 太谢谢了，太谢谢了。As we've seen before, 谢谢 means thanks. Here, we've got new word 太, which means too, as in too much of something. 太 and another 了 together, this sentence is like thanks too much. 太谢谢了。How about the response? It's easy. Let me show you the most basic way to do it. 不用谢，不用谢。用 here means need. 用 putting the 不 before it makes it negative. 不 altogether it's 不用 no need. 不用 Finally, we add 谢 which means thanks. So it means something like no need to thank. We use it just like the English you're welcome. So when someone says 谢谢 to you, you can simply reply with 不用谢. Now it's time for English tips. Although 谢谢 is simple, it can be used in both formal and informal situations with just about anyone, anywhere, and at any time. But actually in China, we don't usually say 谢谢 to our families and our close friends. The expression, while applied, creates a feeling of distance. But it doesn't mean that we take thankfulness for granted. Instead, we will do something else in the future to show our gratitude. Do you know how to say see you later in Chinese? Here is a hint. I've been saying it at the end of every episode. In our next lesson, we'll go over this in detail and talk about other ways to say goodbye and hello in Chinese. Until then, 再见。Hey 大家好，我叫马燕如。Hey everybody, I'm 叶如嘛。Welcome to Chinese Class 101.com's 三分钟汉语 the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Chinese. In the last lesson, we learned how to show gratitude by saying 谢谢. In this lesson, we will learn some of the most common greetings used in China. 准备好了吗? Are you ready? 我们开始吧。So, let's start. The most commonly used greeting is 你好,你好. You may remember this from lesson 1. 你好 means hi, hello, and how do you do? It's a slightly formal expression though, so just use it at work or similar occasions. Don't use it with your family and friends. The informal hello is sure to be familiar to you. You probably use it every day already. Hey, hey. If it sounds familiar, it's because it's just like the English hey, but make sure to say it with the right Mandarin tone. Hey. When you want to greet someone in the morning, you can also say 早啊,早啊. It's very commonly used, but it's slightly informal. What about when we leave? What should we say? 再见. This very common expression is similar in meaning to the English see you again. 再见. This is goodbye. Though simple, it can be used in almost all occasions. Now, you can greet people in many different ways in Chinese. Let's review them all again. When meeting people for the first time or in a formal occasion, 你好. When meeting friends or family members, you can say, hey. In the early morning, you can say, 早啊. When leaving, no matter whether it's a formal or informal situation, 再见. It's easy, isn't it? Now it's time for Yanru's tips. As you know, there are more and more Chinese starting to learn English. This has started to affect the language. Just like how you can say hey instead of 你好. You can also say bye bye instead of 再见. So if you forget how to say 你好 and 再见, you can use the easy heys and bye byes and people will understand you with no problem. During the next lesson, we'll learn the meaning of the phrase 你会说英语吗? Do you already know it? I will be waiting to talk about it with you in our next 3分钟汉语 lesson. 再见。Hey, 大家好，我叫马燕如。Hey everybody, I'm 燕如嘛。Welcome to ChineseClass101.com's 3分钟汉语 the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Chinese. In the last lesson, we learned the most common forms of greetings in Chinese. Do you remember them? In this lesson, we're going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? If you find yourself in a situation where you need assistance in English, this phrase can be a lifesaver. But because you're asking it in Chinese, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you are saying, even if the answer is no. Here is a common, slightly informal way to say it. 你会说英语吗？你会说英语吗？ Let's break that down. You, 你 can, 会 speak, 说 English, 英语 question mark particle 吗? You will notice the word 你 in the beginning of the sentence. Remember that this is the way to say you. The next word 会 is like the English can. Then we have the verb 说, which means to speak. Next up is 英语, the word for English. And last we have 吗. This is used to ask a question. It works just like a question mark. Put it at the end of the sentence with a low tone. Altogether, it's 你会说英语吗? To learn how to properly use verbs like 会, please look at our Absolute Beginner series on ChineseClass101.com. You can find very detailed grammar lessons and resources there. We are now going to make this sentence formal. First, we need to use the formal version of you, which is 您. Even if we change the word for you, we don't need to change the verb 会. Everything stays the same. 您会说英语吗？您会说英语吗？ Adding 请问 the sentence becomes even more polite. It means something like excuse me here. Altogether, it's 请问您会说英语吗？ The responses you will receive could be one of these three. 会 yes. 会 or 会我会说一点 Yes, I can speak a little. 会我会说一点 or 我不会说 No, I don't. 我不会说 Since this last one is a negative statement, we need to say the negative word 不 before the verb 会. It's just that easy. Now it's time for Yero's tips. For those of you who are not only English speakers, you can use this question with any language you need. More and more Chinese people are studying other languages, so maybe you will get lucky. Just replace 英语 with 意大利语 for Italian, 俄语 for Russian, 西班牙语 for Spanish, 德语 for German. This lesson we mentioned the expression 请问 But did you know that this could also be used as an apology? In the next lesson, we will learn this and other ways to apologize in Chinese. I will see you in our next 3分钟汉语 lesson. 再见。 大家好，我叫马燕如。Hey everybody, I am 燕如Ma. Welcome to ChineseClass101.com's 3分钟汉语 the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Chinese. In the last lesson, we learned the phrase 你会说英语吗? Do you speak English? We mentioned the word 请问 which means excuse me in formal Chinese. But this isn't the only way to say excuse me or I'm sorry in Chinese. You will have to use different words in different situations. Don't worry, it will be very easy. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to make a proper apology in Chinese. The expression 请问 that we learned in the last lesson is used when asking a question. For example, 请问天安门在哪儿? Excuse me, where is 天安门? 请问天安门在哪儿? The first word is 请问 or excuse me. Then comes a place. In this case, 天安门. Next we have 在. This is a word like the English look at it. Last we have 哪儿, which means where. Altogether, it means something like excuse me, 天安门 located where? 请问天安门在哪儿? An informal way to say excuse me is 不好意思。不好意思。不 we have seen before and means something like not. Next we have 好 which means good. Finally we have 意思 which means thought. Altogether, we get something that means not good thought, but which perhaps could be translated as it is thoughtless of me. 不好意思。We can use 不好意思 when asking a question or when apologizing. All of these phrases can be used for either excuse me or I'm sorry. But if you really want to apologize for something, it might be better to use a different phrase. That phrase is 对不起. It means I am sorry and can be used in both formal and informal situations. 对不起. This is so common that you should learn it all as one phrase and not worry about breaking it down. 对不起. This is used as often as the phrase 谢谢 is to show appreciation. Now it's time for Yanru's tips. Please remember that in Chinese, if you accidentally bump into someone, we don't say excuse me, 请问. Instead say 对不起. Are you able to count in Chinese? In the next lesson, we will learn the numbers in Chinese from 1 to 10. I'll be waiting for you in our next 3分钟汉语 lesson. 再见。
Are you struggling to understand conversations in your target language? This video will improve your listening skills using practice dialogues. How do you know if your language skills are improving? Our team of teachers have designed a free quiz to determine your actual learning level. So click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for you. In this lesson, you'll listen to a dialogue with the text. Second, you'll review the key vocabulary followed by the English translations. And finally, you'll review the dialogue with the text again to master what you learned. First, listen to the dialogue with the text on the screen.
又加班，
老板的要求。
抗议，抗议，你得抗议！
你开玩笑吗？
中国是社会主义国家，工人第一。
那也看情况，我们是外国公司。
Now you'll hear the key vocabulary, followed by the English translation.
公司
company 加班
To work overtime.
抗议
To protest.
社会主义
Socialism.
工人 worker 老板 boss
Finally, let's review the dialogue again. See if you can understand more this time.
又加班，
老板的要求，
抗议，抗议，你得抗议！
你开玩笑吗？
中国是社会主义国家，工人第一。
那也看情况，我们是外国公司。
This is the end of the lesson. In this lesson, you improved your listening and mastered key vocabulary for everyday life conversation. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for your learning level. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson. Are you struggling to understand conversations in your target language? This video will improve your listening skills using practice dialogues. How do you know if your language skills are improving? Our team of teachers have designed a free quiz to determine your actual learning level. So click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for you. In this lesson, you'll listen to a dialogue with the text. Second, you'll review the key vocabulary followed by the English translations. And finally, you'll review the dialogue with the text again to master what you learned. First, listen to the dialogue with the text on the screen.
照片上是谁？
我爷爷奶奶。
这是巴黎吗？
对，战争以前，他们住在法国。
哦，他们会说法语。
我也会，你不知道吗？
Now you'll hear the key vocabulary, followed by the English translation.
巴黎
Paris.
战争
War.
法国
France.
照片
Photo.
法语
French.
以前
Before.
Finally, let's review the dialogue again. See if you can understand more this time.
照片上是谁？
我爷爷奶奶。
这是巴黎吗？
对，战争以前，他们住在法国。
哦，他们会说法语。
我也会，你不知道吗？
This is the end of the lesson. In this lesson, you improved your listening and mastered key vocabulary for everyday life conversation. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for your learning level. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson. Are you struggling to understand conversations in your target language? This video will improve your listening skills using practice dialogues. How do you know if your language skills are improving? Our team of teachers have designed a free quiz to determine your actual learning level. So click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for you. In this lesson, you'll listen to a dialogue with the text. Second, you'll review the key vocabulary, followed by the English translations. And finally, you'll review the dialogue with the text again to master what you learned. First, listen to the dialogue with the text on the screen.
来一个宫保鸡丁吧，
我们已经点了鱼香肉丝，
两个都好吃。
都是酸甜的。我们来个蔬菜吧。
宫保鸡丁就算蔬菜，有大葱。
拜托。
Now you'll hear the key vocabulary, followed by the English translation.
好吃，
delicious,
大葱，
Chinese onion,
鸡肉，
chicken,
酸甜，
sweet and sour,
宫保鸡丁，
kung pao chicken,
道，
a measure word for dishes,
花生，
peanuts,
鱼香肉丝，
shredded pork in chili sauce,
点，
to order.
Finally, let's review the dialogue again. See if you can understand more this time.
来一个宫保鸡丁吧，
我们已经点了鱼香肉丝，
两个都好吃。
都是酸甜的。我们来个蔬菜吧。
宫保鸡丁就算蔬菜，有大葱。
拜托。
This is the end of the lesson. In this lesson, you improved your listening and mastered key vocabulary for everyday life conversation. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for your learning level. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson. Are you struggling to understand conversations in your target language? This video will improve your listening skills using practice dialogues. How do you know if your language skills are improving? Our team of teachers have designed a free quiz to determine your actual learning level. So click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for you. In this lesson, you'll listen to a dialogue with the text. Second, you'll review the key vocabulary, followed by the English translations. And finally, you'll review the dialogue with the text again to master what you learned. First, listen to the dialogue with the text on the screen.
这个胡同派对真酷。
是啊，老北京胡同太有特色了。
我也想租一个四合院儿。
冬天冷还没有厕所。
你不觉得很浪漫吗？
我还是喜欢我的楼房。
Now you'll hear the key vocabulary, followed by the English translation.
派对，
Party,
特色，
characteristics,
胡同，
胡同,
冬天，
winter,
楼房，
building,
四合院儿，
Traditional courtyard.
冷
Cold.
酷
Cool.
浪漫
Romantic.
Finally, let's review the dialogue again. See if you can understand more this time.
这个胡同派对真酷，
是啊，老北京胡同太有特色了。
我也想租一个四合院儿。
冬天冷还没有厕所。
你不觉得很浪漫吗？
我还是喜欢我的楼房。
This is the end of the lesson. In this lesson, you improved your listening and mastered key vocabulary for everyday life conversation. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for your learning level. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson. Are you struggling to understand conversations in your target language? This video will improve your listening skills using practice dialogues. How do you know if your language skills are improving? Our team of teachers have designed a free quiz to determine your actual learning level. So click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for you. In this lesson, you'll listen to a dialogue with the text. Second, you'll review the key vocabulary followed by the English translations. And finally, you'll review the dialogue with the text again to master what you learned. First, listen to the dialogue with the text on the screen.
孩子们在哪儿？
出去玩了？怎么了？
玩儿？还有20分钟就要上钢琴课了。
我以为这学期已经结束了。
我说快结束了，快。
哦，那我去找他们吧。
Now you'll hear the key vocabulary, followed by the English translation.
学期
Semester.
放假
To go on break.
钢琴
Piano.
快
Soon. Almost.
玩儿
To play.
已经
Already.
门
Measure word for an entire course.
结束
To finish.
孩子
Child.
节
Measure word for a single class.
Finally, let's review the dialogue again. See if you can understand more this time.
孩子们在哪儿？
出去玩了？怎么了？
玩儿？还有20分钟就要上钢琴课了。
我以为这学期已经结束了。
我说快结束了，快。
哦，那我去找他们吧。
This is the end of the lesson. In this lesson, you improved your listening and mastered key vocabulary for everyday life conversation. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for your learning level. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson. Are you struggling to understand conversations in your target language? This video will improve your listening skills using practice dialogues. How do you know if your language skills are improving? Our team of teachers have designed a free quiz to determine your actual learning level. So click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for you. In this lesson, you'll listen to a dialogue with the text. Second, you'll review the key vocabulary, followed by the English translations. And finally, you'll review the dialogue with the text again to master what you learned. First, listen to the dialogue with the text on the screen.
你不下车吗？
你还没找钱呢，
找钱？我已经找给你了。
你就给了我30。
对呀，你给我50。
不，我给了你100。
哦，对对对，我的错，不好意思。
Now you'll hear the key vocabulary, followed by the English translation.
错，
Fault.
对，
Right.
整钱，
Large bills.
给，
To give.
零钱，
Small change.
下车，
To get out of the car.
找钱，
To give change.
大钱，
Old Chinese currency.
不好意思，
I'm sorry.
Finally, let's review the dialogue again. See if you can understand more this time.
你不下车吗？
你还没找钱呢，
找钱？我已经找给你了。
你就给了我30。
对呀，你给我50。
不，我给了你100。
哦，对对对，我的错，不好意思。
This is the end of the lesson. In this lesson, you improved your listening and mastered key vocabulary for everyday life conversation. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for your learning level. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson.
Most people who learn a foreign language learn it so that they can one day have real-life conversations with native speakers. When you start out learning and crack open your first textbook or listen to your first podcast, having a real conversation can feel like a fantasy. When everything about a language feels new, it can be overwhelming. But this couldn't be further from the truth. While it does take a significant amount of time and effort to become fluent, having a conversation might not be as far off as you think. In this video, we'll look at 3 ways you can boost your conversational skills and start talking to native speakers. Number 1, find native speakers and practice with them. It's unlikely you live near a big group of native speakers to practice with. If you happen to be in a major or international city, your chances may be better. Check and see if your city has a general language exchange. Chances are there could be a native speaker there who is also trying to learn another language. Practicing in person with a native speaker is probably the most interesting option for honing your speaking skills. But if you can't find anyone where you live, the next best option is to look online. Luckily for language learners, the past 10 years or so have seen an explosion in online language exchange sites. On these websites, you can search for someone who is a native speaker of your target language and is also learning your native language. The idea behind a language exchange is that you communicate with them via video or text chat, and half of the time, they help you practice your target language. And for the other half, you help them practice theirs. Practicing via an online language exchange is a highly effective way to practice your conversational skills. Number 2, work on pronunciation. Pronunciation is often an overlooked skill when it comes to learning a foreign language. Most people think of a good foreign accent as a luxury rather than a necessity. But what most people don't talk about is how having a good accent boosts your listening and comprehension skills. If you can hear a sound from a foreign language and know how to make it yourself, then you're more likely to understand native speakers when they talk at normal speed, and you're also more likely to remember any new words or phrases you come across. Having a good accent means that the language no longer sounds foreign. Instead, it sounds familiar, maybe even natural. So how do you go about perfecting your accent? The best way is to break down the language into its individual sounds. Make note of any sounds that are the same or similar to your native language and of those that are different. Of the sounds that are different, spend your time practicing the ones that you find the hardest to say correctly. After you're comfortable with the individual sounds, you can start linking together words and phrases. This is where accent practice starts to get really fun and interesting. Get your hands on some native speaker audio from a TV show, song, or podcast. Play the audio back and listen closely a few times. Take note of how words blend together in speech. Then, do your best to imitate what you hear, trying to match the speaker's emphasis and intonation. Our language learning program's playback feature is perfect for this. Record yourself and compare it to the original recording. Rinse and repeat until you're comfortable with the audio selection, and then move on to something more difficult. This is how you can break through the accent barrier and really start to make the language your own. Number 3, learn phrases, not just individual words. Learning grammar and individual words is great, but it's not the only approach you should take if you want to speak fluently. In addition to your regular grammar and vocabulary, try learning whole phrases, even if you aren't totally sure how they work grammatically. Learn phrases that are specific to your needs. It's a good idea to learn phrases that are grouped around a certain setting or subject, such as simple greetings or introductions, questions for getting to know someone, or traveling comfortably. You can even learn filler phrases, which you can use so that you have something to say when, well, you don't know what to say. Learning phrases like this will help you become conversational faster. You may not understand what you're saying literally, but as long as you know the general meaning behind the phrase and know when to use it, you'll be able to talk like a native. Eventually, your knowledge of grammar and vocabulary should catch up with the phrases you know. Learning a new language should feel like an adventure. There will be plateaus and periods in your learning where it feels like you're hitting a wall, but being able to speak with native speakers and have real conversations will help you combat language fatigue. After all, talking to someone face-to-face in a foreign language is one of the main reasons we start learning in the first place. And for even more ways to gain conversation skills, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye!
Welcome to Can Do Chinese by ChineseClass101.com.
大家好，我是李英如。Hi everyone, I'm Yinru Li. In this lesson, you will learn essential Chinese social expressions such as thank you.
This is Ben Lee, and he's on the train. A fellow passenger drops his wallet as he exits the train. Ben picks up the wallet and chases after the man. He calls to the man by saying, "Sir, please, wait a minute."
先生，请等一下。
Listen to the following 3 short dialogues between Ben and the man.
先生，请等一下。
怎么了？
Ben hands the man the wallet.
谢谢你。
不客气。
Ben turns to board the train, but the door's shut.
不好意思。
没事儿。
Once more with the English translation.
先生，请等一下。
Sir, please wait a minute.
怎么了？
What's the matter? Ben hands the man the wallet.
谢谢你。
Thank you.
不客气。
Don't mention it. Ben turns to board the train, but the door's shut.
不好意思。
Sorry.
没事儿。
It's okay.
Let's take a closer look at these 3 conversations.
First, do you remember how Ben Lee says, Sir, please wait a minute?
先生，请等一下。
First is
先生，
Sir or Mr.
先生，先生，
Note, it can be used alone, such as in this case, or as a polite suffix following a name. Next is
请等一下，
Please wait a minute.
请等一下，
This has 3 parts. First is
请，
Please.
请，请，
Next is
等，
To wait.
等，等，
Finally,
一下，
meaning something like a bit, as in please wait a bit.
一下，一下，一下，
is an everyday phrase used with a verb to describe a brief action, and often to soften a command or request. In this sentence,
一下，
follows
等，
to wait. Together
等一下，
means to wait for a bit, or to wait a minute.
等一下，
Altogether,
先生，请等一下，
Sir, please wait a minute.
先生，请等一下。
Do you remember how the passenger responds by saying, What's the matter?
怎么了？
怎么了？
What's the matter?
怎么了？
Note, this is a set phrase that can translate as, What's the matter? What's wrong? What happened? It's used when you don't know what has happened. In this case, the speaker wants to know why he was called. The second part of the conversation takes place after Ben returns the passenger's wallet. Do you remember how the passenger says, Thank you?
谢谢你。
This expression has 2 parts. First is
谢谢，
thanks or thank you.
谢谢，谢谢，
Next is
你，
you.
你，你，
In most cases,
谢谢，
is enough to express gratitude. By following
谢谢，
with,
你，
it expresses a more personal and heartfelt appreciation in a subtle way. However, the meaning doesn't change. Altogether,
谢谢你，
thank you.
谢谢你。
Do you remember how Ben says, Don't mention it?
不客气。
This expression can be divided into 2 parts. First is
不，
meaning not.
不， 不
It is used to negate verbs and adjectives. Pronunciation note. When
不
is followed by a fourth tone, its tone changes from the fourth tone to the second tone. Listen to the pronunciation again.
不客气
Next is
客气
courteous, more specifically, to treat someone with hospitality and formality.
客气客气
Together,
不客气
literally means no need to be courteous, no need for the formalities, but often translates as don't mention it, or you're welcome.
不客气，
不客气
Is a common response to the phrase,
谢谢
after the train doors shut and Ben misses his train, do you remember how the passenger apologizes to Ben by saying, sorry?
不好意思，
In this case, the expression is used to apologize for causing Ben inconvenience. Let's start with
好意思
literally good meaning or good intention, but together it's a phrase meaning to feel no shame.
好意思
First is
好
meaning good.
好
Next is
意思
meaning.
意思
Before the phrase is
不
meaning not.
不不
Altogether,
不好意思
literally not feel no shame. In other words, ashamed or embarrassed.
不好意思，
The speaker feels ashamed or embarrassed for causing Ben inconvenience. So the phrase means sorry in this case.
不好意思不好意思
Do you remember how Ben replies, "It's okay"?
没事儿，
First is
没
not or have not.
没没
Next is
事儿
matter or issue.
事儿事儿
Together,
没事儿
literally means no issues, but it translates as it's okay.
没事儿
没事儿，
没事儿
Is a common response to apologies, but it is sometimes used to respond to thank you as well.
In addition to 不好意思, another commonly used expression to say sorry is 对不起. It consists of 3 characters. 对 to face, 不 not, 起 literally to rise, but to be able to do something in this case. Together, 对不起 means something like unable to face you, but it translates as I'm sorry. 对不起. This is a stronger apology than 不好意思. Use it when you've done something wrong you feel strongly about. 对不起. You can use it as a standalone phrase or together with longer phrases. In addition to 不客气, another common way to respond to thank you is 不用谢. You're welcome. 不用谢. 不用 means no need. 不用. And 谢 to thank. 谢. Together it's 不用谢. Literally, no need to thank, but translates as you're welcome. 不用谢 and 不客气 are interchangeable. It's up to you which one to use. Let's look at the expressions once more. Listen and repeat, or speak along with me. 请等一下。请等一下。怎么了？怎么了？谢谢你。谢谢你。不客气。不客气。不好意思。不好意思。没事儿。没事儿。对不起。对不起。Did you notice the last expression I used? 对不起。对不起。
Sorry. You learned about this expression in the Cultural Insights section. A common response to this expression is,
没关系，
don't worry about it.
没关系，
First is
没
to not or to not have.
没
Next is
关系
relationship.
关系
Together
没关系
literally means to not have a relationship, but it translates as don't worry about it in this context.
没关系
Note you can also use
没关系
to respond to someone's apology. You should be aware of this commonly used phrase, but you won't need it for this lesson.
Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then, repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say please? 请 请 And how to say wait? 等 等
Do you remember how Ben says, "Please wait a minute"?
请等一下。
请等一下
And how the passenger says, "What's the matter?"
怎么了？
怎么了
Do you remember how the passenger says, "Thank you"?
谢谢你。
谢谢你 Do you remember how to say don't mention it? 不客气不客气
Do you remember how the passenger says, "Sorry"?
不好意思。
不好意思
Do you remember how Ben says, "It's okay"?
没事儿。
没事儿
Let's practice. Imagine you're Karen Lee, and you receive a popular Chinese candy from your Chinese teacher, Lin Li. Say thank you. Ready?
谢谢你。不客气。
Listen again and repeat.
谢谢你。谢谢你。
Let's try another. Imagine you're Mark Lee. A passenger bumps into you. Respond by saying, "It's okay." Ready?
不好意思。
没事儿，
Listen again and repeat.
没事儿，没事儿，
Let's try one more. Imagine you're Mark Lee, and you see a man drop his wallet. Politely ask him to wait a minute. Ready?
请等一下，
怎么了？
Listen again and repeat.
请等一下， 请等一下。
This is the end of this lesson.
Remember, these can-do lessons are about learning practical language skills. What's next? Show us what you can do. When you're ready, take your assessment. You can take it again and again, so try anytime you like. Our teachers will assess it and give you your results.
Now you know how to use essential social expressions in Chinese. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson.
Today we're going to talk about 4 techniques to help you stop translating in your head and instead start thinking in your target language. This will allow you to have conversations with ease, read smoothly, and better understand native speakers. These are 4 methods to help you think in a new language. Number 1, surround yourself with your target language. This way, you'll be completely immersed in the language. Without realizing it, you'll learn pronunciation, sentence structures, grammar, and new vocabulary. Play music in the background while you're cooking, or have a radio station on while you study. Just use one of our endless podcasts available to you. These are easy to listen to in the background while doing other things. Number 2, learn through observation. This is how we all learned our native languages as kids. Words will develop their own meanings that relate better to your target language, rather than meanings that are translated directly. Number 3, speak out loud to yourself. Even if you're a little embarrassed, it forces you to listen to how you speak. It makes it much easier to spot simple grammar mistakes. Number 4, practice daily. If you practice everything for only one day, you won't retain the information you learned. The brain can realistically only focus for about 30 minutes. So studying a little every day allows you to absorb better. Follow these steps and have patience. You'll soon be able to achieve your language learning goals. Just make sure to remember these 4 methods. Sign up for your free lifetime account. No credit card required, and you'll get the best free online resources. And start learning more every day. Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Chinese ebook before it's gone.